Right, we move on to our next topic, ladies and gentlemen. We're now on to part 3 of our agenda, and we take a look at plant-based protein. So our next guest is here to tell us about how to shape products and production to international markets. He is a person of impact and action, looking to make the world a better place by investing in sustainable business. Please give a very warm welcome to Zhang, the co-founder and managing partner at Dow Foods International, China. A very warm welcome.
First of all, I'd like to thank the organizer, the DFV Conference Group, for inviting me for this opportunity. I would love to share my insight, perspectives, and experience based on our impact investment on China's alternative protein sector so far. So the title of my presentation today is Shaping Innovative Food Products and Production with Local Characteristics, but with a focus on China, since China has been the focus of Dow Foods International since day one. So before I get started with my presentation, I'd like to use a few minutes to brief you on Dow Foods and what we do, and why China matters as one of the most important protein markets in terms of both its impact potential and business potential. So aside from phonetic similarity of its English name Dow Foods, our Chinese name Dao Fuzi originates from a sentence in the Chinese masterpiece, The Analects of Confucius. Confucius' way is loyalty and forgiveness only. Loyalty and forgiveness are the vital content of Confucianism in China. Loyalty means to work for others with a full heart, and forgiveness means to consider others in one's place. So this sentence well illustrates the impact logic of Dow Foods, which is to say, be loyal to the earth and the environment where we live, and be kind to the animals living on the planet. So we have a focus on China, but our management company is headquartered in Toronto, Canada. So our mission is to incubate, invest in, and nurture Chinese and China-focused ventures and small, medium-sized enterprises in alternative protein space. Dow Foods International was started by both me and my co-founder, Albert Zhang, representing our impact investment organization, Dow Ventures and Moonspice Social Ventures, respectively, in collaboration with New Crop Capital, which is now called Universe Asset Management, and also the Good Food Institute. We also have a representative from the Good Food Institute in the audience today. This slide looked at the theory of change of Dow Foods. So we have a laser focus on mainland China and also the alternative protein sector in China. So basically, we select, invest in, and support companies, usually on average 5 companies every 6 months. We plan on building a portfolio of hero companies that would serve the inspiration of alternative protein entrepreneurs, and hopefully, through doing this, to scale up and grow the alternative protein sector in China. And eventually, we hope to reach the impact goal of having demand for animal proteins reduced significantly, and thereby reducing the pressure on the environment and also global climate change efforts. Let's look some numbers quickly. On the left side of the slide, basically, I think this almost become common knowledge nowadays that the industrialized animal agriculture puts enormous pressure on our planet's natural resources, and the industrialized animal agriculture is basically responsible for 23% of global freshwater use, 45% of global land occupied, and at least 14.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions, and 33% of global arable land used for feed, basically feed for animals. On the right side, there are some China numbers I'd like to share with you. Basically, China consumes 26% of the world's meat and 45% of the world's seafood. It's also worth mentioning China accounts for 43% of the world's pork consumption in the meat category. So these numbers are massive. But if you look at meat consumption on the per capita basis, China still lags behind, especially compared to the U.S. and some other developed countries. Compared with the U.S., it's probably only half on a per capita basis. For milk consumption, I think in comparison, China's consumption of milk dairy products is even less than half compared to the U.S. on per capita basis. Well, at the same time, if you look at the investment in China's alternative protein sector, based on aggregated numbers from 2020 to 2022 from AgFunder, the global investment in innovative food categories with alternative protein sectors as the majority were over $10 billion from 2020 to 2022. But during the same period, China had only 3.5% of the total, at a little bit over $360 million. Apparently, there's a great gap between investment in China's alternative protein sector and China's share of the worldwide meat consumption and dairy consumption. This slide takes a further look at China's huge demand for meat on a moving forward basis. I already mentioned, China accounts for huge shares of the world's meat consumption, seafood consumption. But China, on a per capita basis, China just caught up with Japan a few years ago. But they still have a long way to go in terms of how to catch up with the U.S. And the European Union countries. But as far as we can see, China is certainly catching up and driven by increased demand and appetite for high-quality protein products. China is catching up, and there will be more meat and dairy consumption on per capita basis on a going forward basis. So this presents not just a huge impact opportunity, but more importantly, or equally importantly, a huge business opportunity for people who are interested in tapping into this kind of business potential. This slide basically looks at some of the global investment trend and share some of observations in this regard. Since the topic of my presentation today is plant-based, so I'm going to focus on talking about plant-based. Basically, if you look at trends in the plant-based sector, investment in plant-based continue to rise, but apparently has been slowing down over the past couple of years for a variety of reasons. I won't elaborate on this reason, but one of the reasons is that the products is probably not fully in place yet in terms of taste, texture, and mouthfeel. And there's the emergence of entrepreneurs in various countries. So we are starting to see plant-based entrepreneurs all over the place across the globe. And there's increasing cross-border operation and expansion, and definitely a stronger need for product localization as far as we can tell, especially based on the China experience. This slide looks at China opportunities based on the trends I just talked about. I think for plant-based, the China drivers are apparently quite different from a lot of other countries, so to speak. So we have to look at the China drivers in the China context, so to speak. And apparently there's a need, and also the fact is that China has rich and vast product applications depending on which region you're looking at. I'm going to talk about that in more detail later. And Chinese young consumers are always curious about novelty food products, so to speak. So that's why that's explained the impact investment approach of Dow Foods, where we are focused on supporting and investing entrepreneurs who are targeting the 400 million to 500 million young millennials in China with exciting and new plant-based and alternative products. China has a long history of vegetarian food products. So actually, some of the vegetarian products, or like plant-based drinks, and even some of the mock meat products are not really a new concept in China. The question is how to make this next generation alternative protein type products more appealing to mainstream consumers in China. I think that will be a great challenge for the kind of entrepreneurs we want to support and invest in. But as far as China policy is concerned, Chinese government has put forward like a Be Food concept in which Chinese President Xi Jinping actually made some food-related remarks in 2022, where he mentioned that he encouraged the seeking of new proteins from plants and microbes. So that's definitely a good sign from the top down. Our portfolio company, Starfield, the first company we invested in China, they work with Bloomberg Business Week to conduct a survey of about like 600 plant-based consumers, and to understand who these consumers are and what they eat and where they eat plant-based foods. So it's very interesting. On the right side, you can see the top keywords. This mainstream consumers or plant-based consumers, mainstream consumer who choose to eat plant-based, care about number one, food safety. I think in the morning, food safety was talked about quite a lot, and price. Apparently, everybody cares about how much the food costs, and experience, encompassing like taste, texture, mouthfeel, and things that consumers cares about. Other factors include like health, branding, and the means of purchase. Basically, where they can get this product is all about convenience, as far as we can tell. And basically, based on this survey, young people born after 1980 to 1995 are the main consumer group, and women actually account for a higher proportion, more than 60% of these plant-based consumers. So this basically defines who the plant-based consumers nowadays in China, who they are and what they are looking for. Certainly, China has experienced some backlash as far as plant-based food products are concerned. So basically, in my opinion, they are more like a bad publicity kind of stunts, so to speak, from either local plant-based companies who try to market and sell their products. On the left side, there's like a famous young actress trying to promote or pretending to promote plant-based food products in China, like on China's TikTok. And actually, people found out that she's not really eating the products. She's just pretending to eat the products. And that's definitely a kind of backlash. And also the products she eats, people kind of drawn a conclusion it's probably not good. It's not tasty enough. That's why she's not really eating it. And also the price of the product is really high. And Pat Brown, CEO and founder of Impossible Foods, a few years ago made some kind of remark. Basically, it's like, if one consumer in China, every time a consumer in China eats like a piece of meat, there's like a little puff going up in the Amazon. And that's kind of caused quite some bad sentiments in China, especially with the younger generation people. And although I understand that, I know that Pat Brown meant well, because what he's trying to say that China is a very important market, an essential market for plant-based food. But that quote from Mr. Brown was misinterpreted as accusing Chinese people of being responsible, eating too much meat, and also being responsible for the negative environmental impact coming out of it. So, how to do things in China, and what's the pathway to promoting and selling plant-based meat products, plant-based dairy products, is part of the reason that China is quite a unique market compared with other international markets we are looking at. But Chinese people do care about food. Eating defines who we are and where we stand in society. So I won't elaborate on all these factors that listed on the slide, but basically what I want to let people know is that China, has a set of characteristics that make the market really unique. So if you're really interested in China market and want to successfully promote and sell plant-based meat or beverage products in China, you have to consider all these factors. I can give you one example, like a rich and diverse product applications, because if you look at the map on the left of the slide, that is trying to tell people that each region or municipality, autonomous region, each province, autonomous region, or municipality in China has this distinct food culture or applications, and that could be, for international companies, that's a challenge. But I think for local entrepreneurs, if they can understand this kind of difference or characteristic well, and maybe this is a strength or opportunity for local entrepreneurs. That's why most of the entrepreneurs we invest in China are local entrepreneurs, because they can quickly understand what Chinese mainstream consumers need, and also come up with the right product at a very competitive price. The next few slides, I just want to re-emphasize the distinct food culture and differences among different regions in China. So basically, we've launched this multi-region new protein initiative in China, trying to promote new proteins in different parts of China based on local characteristics in collaboration with local stakeholders. So our focus is basically the top 5 urban areas of China's planned 19 urban areas. So, but for each of the I don't want to oversimplify it, because even within each of these regions, the food cultures could vary from place to place. But high level, I like to call your attention to the distinct food characteristics in each of these places. So like in Beijing, Tianjin, Hebei, local taste tends to be tasty, salty, and meaty. And in Yangtze River Delta, there where Shanghai is, and people, tend to eat the kind of food people eat tends to be sweet and also thick in soup. In the Greater Bay Area, where Hong Kong is part of, flavors of most local dishes tend to be well balanced and not greasy. So definitely not as greasy as the kind of food products people eat in northern China. In Chengdu, Chongqing, southwest China, and some of you may have been there, either Chongqing or Chengdu. So they are well known for their exclusive spicy and pungent flavors. But even the kind of spicy in Chengdu and compared with the kind of spicy in Chongqing, they are different from one another. In the middle reaches of the Yangtze River, there's Hubei province, and there's Hunan province. People may be familiar with Hunan beef. That kind of dish is usually seen at Chinese restaurants in the U.S. But actually, in Hunan they don't call it Hunan beef. But in general, Hubei cuisine tends to be salty and fresh, with fish as a key food item, and Hunan cuisine tends to be hot and sour, mainly spicy. So basically, I like to share my takeaway on local products and local production, and why it is important for any investor or international company who want to do things in China's alternative protein sector. On the right side, basically, there are some examples of our invested companies. The number one takeaway I'd like to share with the audience today is that I think plant-based drinks and snacks are low-hanging fruit for China's new protein sector, because Chinese people have long been drinking all flavors of plant-based milk for a long, long time. And they are familiar with the flavors: almond, soy milk, coconut, all these different kind of flavors. And they are willing to accept new flavors of plant-based milk. Doesn't matter you call it milk products or not, but they're very much acceptable to such products if they like the flavor, and also the acceptable of the price. We always encourage our companies, especially plant-based meat companies, not to position their products as plant-based meat products, because the default mentality of Chinese mainstream consumers is that I have to compare your products if you call it plant-based chicken or plant-based beef, I have to compare with, compare a product with the real animal meat, beef or chicken products. But most of the time, I think, especially at this point of time, I don't think the technology is fully in place, the product is fully in place compared with the real animal products or not. But if you come up with the kind of value proposition as some kind of plant-based protein products, I think Chinese mainstream consumers are willing to consider it. So food as a medicine concept was talked about it, and the king of health from Germany, right, this morning talked about it and really liked it. But food as medicine concept has long been existent in China's history, in China's cuisine. And food as medicine actually is being practiced by some of entrepreneurs because, Chinese herbal medicine and food products usually come from the same source. So people are not foreign to the concept. Food business, in our opinion, in our view, is a long game. Especially for alternative protein kind of entrepreneurship, and because to try to change consumer behavior is always an uphill battle, is a long game. So that's why we prefer to invest in long-distance runners in this space who have a real passion for doing things right, who have real passion for doing food business, and we don't invest in opportunistic kind of entrepreneurs in this space, because this thing's going to take time and also patience to get things right. For tech-driven ventures in China, in the China context, we would expect them to get government funding in one way or another in order to be sustainable for the long term. Because if you look at cell-based, or look at precision fermentation, the runway could be long, and we don't know how much money entrepreneurs need to attract in order to be sustainable long term. So government backing is very important. So all in all, as far as China is concerned, production and R&D localization is definitely key to success, long-term success of any company who want to make something happen. From both impact perspective and from business perspective in China's alternative protein sector. But as one of entrepreneurs said, our goal is to become impactful food technology companies, bringing healthy and environmentally friendly products to every corner of the world and promoting the development of sustainable and technology globally. So, Chinese entrepreneurs definitely ambitious. If you find the right entrepreneurs, I think they will not only be successful in China, I'm pretty sure they are also ambitious about, entering the global market with their products. So this is the last slide. I'll be quick. I don't want to, we have definitely formed our opinion, our analysis, our methodology in terms of looking at potential entrepreneurs, identifying the right entrepreneurs to invest in the China context. But I don't want to dictate our judgment, our opinion on anyone, because things keep evolving in China. China is always changing. China is still changing, and it shouldn't be a surprise, right? Because China has always been evolving to the point that if you away from China or from China market for some time, you go back, you always get some kind of surprise. But basically, for the alternative protein sector, this is kind of the methodology or approach we encourage everybody to take. Basically, try to reverse engineer from a consumer perspective. Look at the factors consumers care about: price, taste, health, branding, food safety. But at the same time, equally important, even more important, any investor who wants to do things in China or any company who wants to do things in China's alternative protein sector should look at policy factors in China. Try to align what you do with some of the policies that could be favorable to your work. So this is basically the methodology I like to share with everybody here. So thanks for listening to my presentation, and if you have any question or inquiries that we can help address, feel free to get on our website. We always share our insight, our opinions on China on our website as much as we can, and also feel free to get in touch with me if you want to have a discussion as far as China is concerned. Thanks again.